It's the Orioles Unmasked, and we welcome you back as the Red Sox are in town to begin a three-game series. And for the Orioles, they do move back into the East with these 2-for-1 games. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne. All day long in baseball is about Manny Machado. Well, Manny this afternoon spoke up. He apologized to Oriole fans. He apologized to the Oakland A's. He apologized to the Oakland catcher. He apologized to the Oriole fans. Second time around, he apologized to the Oriole fans. He apologized to the team. He apologized to the A's. He apologized to the world. He said his emotions just got out of hand. It all happened, of course, in the context of the three-game series that was played in the video that has been repeated 1,000 times around baseball. So for now, at least, I think Manny's done the right thing. He has cleared the deck on it. We wait to see whether or not there will be a suspension or not. That is up for grabs. And the question is, did he throw the bat intentionally? He just said today about that it was emotions. It was emotions that carried over really from the first game of the series. Was that throw intentional? That's why he got thrown out of the game. The umpire said it was. They also said that on that third pitch that was thrown in that inning, he'd been thrown at, so Abad, the pitcher, also got thrown out. So now all we really wait on regarding Machado is an announcement from Major League Baseball. Will there or will there not be a suspension, Mike?
Well, first, I think it's great that Manny Machado stood up and gave that apology to the fans and his teammates, and of course the Oakland Athletics as well. I think that's certainly a step in the right direction. And I think, you know, now that they wait for the league to come down with this decision, they're going to look at Sunday's game. They're going to look at the whole weekend series before they make their determination on whether or not there's going to be a suspension. But I think the Baltimore Orioles really have to be prepared for this possible situation.
All right, and it's important because we do go back to the American League East, and that's where the race is for the Orioles. You're after a division title. How have they done against the East so far in the season? There are the numbers.
Yeah, they've done really well. I mean, started off with a flurry of games against the East, 21 games, 13-8 record. A lot of things working together. 276 batting average, 20 home runs, averaging almost 5 runs per game with a good pitching as well. 3.86 earned run average, and that 326 average with runners in scoring position. You know, they've continued that best in all of baseball throughout the season. So they're going to have to really step up and continue to play well within their division. It's an important rest of the week here. The Red Sox in town, obviously, for this series, but then Toronto comes in. But they've had great success here in recent years against the Red Sox. So they need to continue that. The Red Sox are down right now. This is a time to take advantage of that and try to get everything working together as Toronto comes in over the weekend.
So against the Red Sox so far on the year, the Orioles are 1 under 500. Here is what the numbers look like in the games that these teams have played this year. Red Sox have the 4-3 edge for the moment, but as you go down the list, not a lot of big differences. That average in runner in scoring position, even though it heavily favors the Orioles, has not resulted in a winning record. Interesting that the Red Sox have actually out-homered the Orioles 7-3.
Yeah, it is. But the Red Sox have gone through some trying times here recently. There are some players that really had career years last year that aren't stepping up this season. Nava's having a down time. Their outfielder Shane Victorino's having a rough time as well. They're still trying to overcome that loss of Ellsbury going to the Yankees. Grady Sizemore, who got off to a good start, has since dipped off tremendously. So there are a lot of inconsistencies in their offense. They've had some injuries to their pitchers, and they're just kind of treading water, trying to get back on track. You've seen them throw out 10-game losing streaks, and then all of a sudden a 5-game winning streak. Just a lot of ups and downs with this team. They just lost 4 games in a row, able to pick up a win in last night's ball game. The Orioles have to try to keep them down right now. When you're playing against it within your division, especially if a team is down, keep them down as long as possible.
They've got Napoli back. We'll see him in the lineup for the second consecutive game since returning from the injury. And we'll be back to Camden Yards as the Red Sox and the Orioles kick off this 3-game set. You buy Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. By Antwerpen Toyota. Visit the new Route 32 Clarksville facility. All month long, they'll make any competing offer better. Hurry in today. And by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Partly cloudy night, and our train game time temperature will start at 78 degrees with a little breeze blowing out towards center. Take a look at the starting lineup for the Red Sox. Holt, Bogarts, Pedroia, Ortiz, Napoli, as we said, back, Nava, Sizemore, Herrera in a fill-in role tonight, and David Ross. They played the Sunday game, so a couple of starters like Brzezinski and their shortstop, they're going to have the night off tonight. And Ortiz against the Orioles. What new there?
Let's take a look at Bud Norris's pitch arsenal this season. He's using that fastball at 63%, the breaking ball at 29%, and the changeup at 8%. Really likes his fastball. It's a power pitch, 94, 95 miles an hour at times. That breaking ball, he likes to bury it down and away for his big strikeout pitch, but Bud's got to be careful in the zone. His last start, he was pitching very well, but a couple home runs to Beltre in that Texas series led to 5 earned runs. 11 starts this year, 4-5 record, 4.41 earned run average, 45 strikeouts, 22 walks. Opponents hitting .243, lefties at .244, and righties at .242.
So the record against the Red Sox for him, he is 0-1 this year, is 0-2 lifetime. He pitched against Boston in his third start. He gave up 4 runs, 5 hits, and 6 1/3 innings. He had 7 strikeouts, a couple of walks in that ball game. The Orioles would lose that game 4-2. Let's take a look at the defense.
Orioles defense behind Bud Norris. It's brought to you by Chevrolet tonight. Nelson Cruz over and left. David Lowe getting the start in center field as Adam Jones gets the DH spot tonight. Markakis over and right. J.J. Hardy over at short. Ryan Flaherty the start at second base. Machado and Davis on the corners with Caleb Joseph behind the plate.
David Lowe with that great speed, getting a chance in center field, coming in late in the ball game yesterday. This time it's going to be a start for Lowe in center. Second start he has had in center field.
Well, I think it's great that Buck Showalter gets him out there. You never know, injuries, and God forbid something happens to Adam Jones. Well, David Lowe better be ready to roam that center field area.
Here is Brock Holt, and we are underway. Holt will take the pitch for a strike. Holt has been one of the shining lights for this team all year long. He's moved into the leadoff spot. You see he's .339 overall. He's hitting .350 in the leadoff spot for Boston. Delivery to him, and that's down the line. He keeps it right up. He's beginning more and more as a rookie to look like a real pure hitter. And he's on with the leadoff single.
Well, he picked up 4 hits in last night's ball game. This month, already 2 4-hit games, and picking up where he left off.
So the leadoff man is on. Nothing new for Bud Norris. He has one of the strange numbers in that department. We mentioned before, Bud only retires 51% of leadoff batters, which is extremely low. Yet his ERA is 4.41, which is not that out of whack at all with most of the other starters. So he finds a way to get the outs after runners have already gotten on base. He's going to have to do that here. Here's Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts, their third baseman. They are relying in this season on 3 really good rookies to play major parts on their team. And at the top of the order, they've got Holt and Bogaerts. John Farrell's ball club on the road, 13-17. They are 9 games out of first place in the American League East. Breaking ball, strike on the outside corner. The Orioles come in 5.5 games behind. Everybody in the American League East lost yesterday except the Red Sox, who won that game in Detroit on a 9th inning 3-run homer by David Ortiz. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Infield, a double play depth. Throw over, and Holt will go back to the bag.
The Red Sox have had a pretty interesting year, to say the least. I mean, up and down. It's been a roller coaster ride. It seems like they're trying to find some way to build some confidence and consistency. See Bogaerts, so he's stayed pretty consistent over the last 15 games at .338 batting average.
1-1 delivery, runner not going, and a ground ball chopped all the way back into the seats. These are the two least running teams when it comes to stealing bases in the American League. The Orioles are last in stolen bases, and the Red Sox are next to last. So don't look for a lot of running to take place in this series. Behind the plate, Joseph 6 out of 15 caught stealing. Great number for him. Bud Norris has had problems with that, as they've caught only 2 out of 13 base stealers with Norris on the mound. Ground ball fouled away again, and the count will hold at a ball and 2 strikes on Bogaerts.
Not a bad pitch there, down and away. Bud Norris has been hurt with the walks this season. Getting ahead of hitters hasn't been a problem. He's finishing them off, and his pitch count gets elevated early quite often, leading to some 5-6 inning starts. Bud Norris is a bulldog on the mound. He's just got to be more aggressive there in the zone when he gets ahead. That was a nice slide of the foul ball.
One ball, 2 strike count. Bogaerts trying to get that ground ball double play. Norris has been a ground ball pitcher. 42% of the balls off the bat against him are ground balls. Runner, big secondary lead, and again is fouled back into the screen. A late move by the Orioles that had been anticipated. Josh Stinson has returned to the ball club. The Orioles did not have a long man for tonight's game as late as 4 o'clock.
Yeah, well, they needed one in yesterday's ball game. Jimenez an early exit, and they used Brad Brock for 3 1/3, and then they ended up using T.J. McFarland for over 4 innings. So, yeah, long men are gone. So Stinson called up just in case.
1 ball, 2 strike. Runner goes. Here's the throw by Joseph on the money. See you later. Big throw. Boy, I'll tell you something. The reason he's catching so many ball games right now, one, he can put down the right fingers and handle the staff, and the second, and Buck Showalter requires it, are throws like this.
Boy, and it was a good one. Caleb Joseph has worked so hard to improve his throwing game. Such quick feet, great pop time, right on the money. Ryan Flaherty there to apply that tag to Holt. Big first out.
So now Joseph has thrown out 7 out of 16, and Holt is caught for the first time. He has stolen 3 without being caught. The count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. So John Farrell, first innings, starts it out trying to run a little bit. Interesting.
Trying to push the offense.
Yep. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that will just miss outside. So it'll always help a starting pitcher. You get the leadoff man on, and Norris gets picked up, 1 by his delivery and 2 by his catcher's throw. Here's the 3-2. It'll be in the air, low. Flaherty out, low. Markakis will make the catch.
Good play right there by Markakis. Nice communication. Out in that triangle, Flaherty going back to get it. David Lowe coming hard, and Markakis making the call. Get that second out, and good job by Bud Norris. Finish off Bogaerts after quite a trying at bat. It was a changeup, 3-2 change to get him to pop up.
So Norris now with 2 down, nobody on, and that will bring up Dustin Pedroia, the nemesis for a lot of ball clubs, and the Orioles no exception. 7 games this year. He's hitting .467 against the Orioles. He has gone 14 for 30 in the games they have played. He is a career .331 hitter against the O's. Pedroia with 2 down, nobody on, 0-1 count. And he will take the pitch, and it's a called strike on the outside corner.
And Pedroia having one of those inconsistent starts that we don't typically see. Batting average down a little bit, but good numbers, as you mentioned, against the Orioles, and off Bud Norris, .333 with a couple doubles and an RBI.
7 for 15 in the games played here this year. Make it 7 for 16. Norris has a real good start. No runs on 1 hit, no errors. Good job by Joseph behind the plate on the throw, and the strikeout to end the inning. Orioles lineup coming up. From Savannah Park in Maryland, located in Anne Arundel County between the eastern shore of the Severn River and the northwestern shore of the Magathie River, and it's all part of Birdland. Great to have you with us here for this opener with the Red Sox. Take a look at the starting lineup for the Orioles, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Their fares online only at southwest.com. Markakis, Machado, and Jones, Davis, Cruz, and Hardy, Lowe, Joseph, and Flaherty. Good numbers, Jones, against the Red Sox this year.
And here's the pitch arsenal for Jake Peavy, the veteran arm. He uses his fastball at 72%, breaking ball 16%, that changeup at 12%. But he can move his fastball around a little bit. He can cut it. Not the two-seamer, he can sink. A couple different breaking balls.
And here's Markakis in the first inning, and he does it again. Well, he's up to a 14-game hit streak now, but it's these first inning numbers that are just off the charts. He is now 21 for 55 for Nick Markakis, and the batting streak up to 14 games.
There's a look at Peavy's numbers this season. 1-3 record. That last win coming in the end of April. 4.72 earned run average, 55 strikeouts, 30 walks. Walks hurt him early on. First 8 games, 27 walks, but he's been more efficient here. 3 walks in his last 4 starts.
And Manny Machado will foul it back. For Markakis now in the first at bat of a game in that leadoff spot, he's over 407. 25 for 55. That's ridiculous.
Well, it really is. I'll tell you that Nick, you know, we've talked about Nick and how the defense plays him.
Yeah.
Red Sox shifted the shortstop up the middle there, so he had that left side wide open, and he just slapped it through that hole.
He seems to be able to do that whenever he wants to. Manny Machado on the breaking ball and an 0-2 count on Manny. Machado an 0 for 4 in the only at-bats he has had against Jake Peavy. Long day for the Orioles third baseman. Obviously, with all the baseball talk going on about what happened against the A's and tossed out of the ball game yesterday with a bat that got flung. 0-2 pitch inside. Major League Baseball still no announcement on whether they will or will not have a suspension for either Manny or the pitcher who also got thrown out in the ball game for intentionally throwing at Manny, Abad. That will probably come after the game tonight or tomorrow when they'll say yes or no, and if so, how many games. 1 ball, 2 strikeout. And a swing and a foul ball right at the plate. Manny talked about all of that today.
I want to apologize. I want to apologize to, all my teammates, my coaching staff, the Orioles organization, and Oakland for the way, and our fans also for the way I acted and overreacted on that.
And amazingly in life, in all situations generally, when you just put it on the table and say, you know what, I made a mistake, everything gets taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to go out and you got to do things, but he did the right thing. He said emotions just took over, and that's a young player, and he's got to learn that. And they had to come to meeting today with the clubhouse closed and just players to talk to Manny for the purpose of helping him out. And I think he heard and listened, and that's what mentoring by veterans is all about. That'll be a ground ball towards short. Herrera's there. Pedroia the relay, and they'll turn the double play. 2 down here in the first inning.
There's a ground ball to Herrera, pretty routine 6-4-3 double play. Pedroia, one of the best in the business out there. I think it was great that Manny, said that apology as well. I mean, it was a tough weekend, and it was a weekend very uncharacteristic of Manny Machado. He has handled himself so well, and I think that weekend just caught everybody by surprise.
Yep.
And this is the time where he's got to learn from this experience and move on. And the best way to do it, obviously, to give that public apology, but now just play the game the way the way you can.
Here is Adam Jones, who will take the pitch outside for a ball. Adam against the Red Sox on the season, hitting .407. He's had 3 RBIs against Boston in the 7 games played. He'll take that one to center field. Sizemore back in the wall. Goodbye, home run. Don't need a review on that one. That cleared the fence. And the Orioles have a 1-0 lead, and the red-hot Adam Jones keeps it sizzling.
10th home run of the year. Another one to center field, right center. Really using that power well the other way. And I'll tell you what, Adam Jones has such great plate coverage. Even nasty pitches on the plate, he can hammer. And that wasn't a tough one.
His 16th career home run against the Red Sox, the first he's had off Peavy. And here is Chris Davis.
Let's say it was a tough one. A little slider. It's on the outside part of the plate, and it's starting to dive down and away. But look at him extend his arms. Great power from Adam Jones.
0-1 delivery. Davis will pop that one up with a big shift on, and it will end up over in the seats. Now, technically, I guess that's a ball more to center field. But again, though, it's to the right of center field.
Right.
Where he's had his last, I think, 5 home runs.
4 or 5, yeah, to right field, right of second base. I mean, it's nice. His adjustment here early on in the season, you know, he was in pull mode primarily. You see that ball came off the bat at 100 miles an hour, but he's using the center of the field and backing up pitches and driving them the other way. Pretty impressive stuff.
Davis looking for his first hit off Peavy, the 33-year-old right-hander. He's 0 for 7 against him. Chris this year over 300 against the Red Sox with an RBI in the games played. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Big shift. Pedroia way out there in right field, as deep as you'll see anybody play. And the pitch close, but not quite to him. And the count will go to 2-2. Chris trying to pick things up here in the month of June. Would like to see some of that power come back. He's hit a lot of balls to those guys, those second basemen out there in right field. That one's the other way. It's traveling tonight. Warning track. See, it just keeps going. And there is Holt playing in just his second game in the outfield in his life, who puts that one away. The Orioles get a run on 2 hits, no errors, nobody left on base. It's Adam Jones acting as a DH. A DH for only the second time. A homer. Tilmian from North Potomac. You've won $500 for being selected. You get $500 more for every Orioles home run hit tonight. You've already had one, so you got $1,000 so far. Play the Orioles scratch off from the Maryland Lottery for your chance to be a contestant of the game. Win a trip to see the O's play at Wrigley or the MLB World Series. Learn more mdlottery.com/Orioles. For Adam Jones, his 4th home run this season hit here in Camden Yards.
Yeah, down and away slider, and he gets great extension and just hammers this ball to deep center field. Another great swing by Jones.
So the Orioles up, but Norris will face Ortiz, Napoli, and Nava. Ortiz with the game-winning 3-run home run, top of the 9th inning in Detroit last night. Shift on against him, and he will take the pitch down low for a ball. He is 3 for 9 with a homer lifetime off Norris.
Well, may go down as one of the best designated hitters in the history of the game. Tremendous clutch performer. You'd mentioned he hit that home run in last night's ball game in the 9th inning to give the Red Sox the lead.
Was his 5th career go-ahead home run while his team was trailing in the 9th inning or later. He hadn't done it in 6 years prior to last night. Did it last night for the 5th time. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that's down low. What was interesting is Mike Napoli was back in the lineup last night, and he's behind him tonight. Napoli had been injured and out, and there were many on the Red Sox saying he never would have got a pitch to hit last night for a home run if Napoli hadn't been back in the lineup. Napoli had a big night last night, 3 for 4. Ground ball towards first base. Davis over the bag. Fair ball, and Ortiz is retired. Celebrate summer at Oriole Park with the Birdland Summer 6-pack. A ticket to 6 games of your choice throughout the remainder of the year. Savings off single game tickets of up to 20%. You can lock in your seats, the best games, best promos, best nights for you. Just go to Orioles.com/6-pack. Here is Napoli. Napoli had been out of the lineup for more than 2 weeks. A strained finger had kept him out. Returned last night and had that 3 for 4 and a walk against the Tigers.
He's a big part of their success last season, and missing him some time there on the disabled list. But a lot of these Red Sox players not having the years that they had last season, and I think that's why they've been in kind of an inconsistent, or having an inconsistent season. So many guys struggling.
0-1 is going to miss inside. So for the Orioles, as Mike said in the open, there is no mercy in these games. You get a team that's struggling, bury them. That's what you're trying to do. Put them away now, because the next time you see them, they may be stronger. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Napoli will take it on the outside corner. Yankees game has been postponed. They were supposed to play in Kansas City tonight. Weather postponement, so the Yankee KC game is gone. Norris with a 1 ball, 2 strike count. But here at home, 4 starts, 2-1 ERA, a real good one in this ballpark. 3-1-2. 1-2 delivery, almost the same place. Will Little, home plate umpire, not on that one.
Boy, that's a good pitch, though. You see that 3rd pitch catching that outside corner. He doubles up with the slider, almost the same spot, trying to get Napoli to swing out there. He holds up.
Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and that will be down low. So the count goes to 3-2 on Napoli, with Nava waiting on deck. This Red Sox team 28-34 overall. They are 12-17 against the East. Orioles with that 13-8 mark. They and the Yankees have played the fewest games within the division so far. Swing and a miss. Good location by Norris.
Boy, another beautiful change up here. Works the count to 3-2 and comes up with the big change. He was able to get Bogarts with the change. 3-2. Got him to pop up. Well, he gets Napoli. Very dangerous hitter out in front. Big strikeout there.
And that will bring up Nava. Talking about players who have not performed as they did last year. Here's one of them. Nava's been sent down a couple of times trying to work on his hitting. 167 for the switch hitter. He is 2 for 6 lifetime off Norris.
Now, last year had just over 300. Was a huge piece to their success.
Inexplicably struggling this year. He's hitting 2 for 27 right-handed, 206 left-handed. Ground ball. He got jammed on that one. Flaherty's over to get it. Davis at the bag in a good inning. That will retire the side in order for Norris. When we come back, we'll get a look at Nelson Cruz coming to the plate. Numbers for the positions in the National League. Molina behind the plate, no surprise. David Wright, Tulowitzki is having an MVP season. Utley and Gonzalez. The outfield of Stanton, Puig, and Gomez, with Puig logging in at almost $1.5 million. And Tulowitzki, who deserves it all, with over $2 million. In the American League, Matt Wieters is not going to be at the All-Star game. Donaldson, Jeter, Cano, and Cabrera. Cruz, the DH, with the big numbers. Swing and a miss. Here is Nelson Cruz. So the All-Star game voting will continue through July 3, and then the All-Star game will air on Fox July 15 from Minnesota. Pitch taken inside. I always remind fans, if you're a real fan, when you vote for the best player on whatever team at the position, the one who deserves to go.
Well, there are quite a few players actually on that list that certainly do deserve.
Yes, absolutely.
Nelson Cruz obviously having this monster year, leading vote getter as a designated hitter. I think Matt Wieters, what he's done in the past.
Oh yeah,
two-time Gold Glover, and Derek Jeter at shortstop for everything he's done.
Anyway.
He should be certainly recognized there. But Tulowitzki, I mean, my gosh, the numbers he's having, and even Utley's hitting. He's hitting like .315, I think, right now. So he's having a good year. And
I mean, Adam Jones, I'm a little surprised isn't further up in the voting.
I
think Adam deserves more votes than what he's gotten so far, and could very easily be selected to go to the All-Star game. And the same with Nick Markakis.
Sure.
Pitch will be taken outside in the dirt that time from Peavy, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. For Cruz, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs against the Red Sox so far this year. 8 for 26, and a little jackknife work from Peavy inside. 3 and 2.
Well, I personally think there should be a big push for Nick Markakis.
Yep.
I mean, what he's been doing this year, I mean, he isn't hitting the home runs that some of these outfielders are.
So he tried to get it inside. He did, but not on the plate.
A great defender, Gold Glove outfielder, been a consistent hitter. Some of the numbers, he's had 3 huge hitting streaks this season. He's in the midst of one right now. He had a 12-game streak, an 18-game hitting streak. Got to be one of the most consistent offensive players in the game.
He's had 3 of the longest streaks in the American League this season. So 35 chances to vote. Here is Hardy, and he will take the pitch for a strike. He has really struggled against Peavy. Only a couple of hits and 19 at-bats off the 33-year-old Jake Peavy. Peavy's got 133 wins and 101 losses, his career numbers. He was 12-5 last season combined. 0-1 pitch. He last year was with the White Sox and then came over to Boston. So this is his first full year with the Red Sox. And thus far, it's been a bit of a struggle to get the wins with that 1-3 record.
Well, he hasn't been helped out by his offense either. I mean, he's averaging about 3.5 runs per start from his offense, so that's hurt. But Peavy certainly has lost a lot. You know, he's pitched in the big leagues for 12 years, so there's some wear and tear there. He doesn't have the same velocity, but you know, still can be a very effective pitcher. He has probably 6 pitches, and he needs to mix them up, and he needs to be able to have good command to have success. But he's constantly trying to keep hitters off balance and kind of guessing up there. He can get his share of ground balls with that 2-seam fastball, but not as overpowering as it was a few years ago and early on in his career.
He's been a 42% ground ball pitcher on balls off the bat against him. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Runner at first. Hardy with the big cut will foul that one right straight back and hold the count at 1-2.
JJ would like to have that one back. Peavy missed his spot. It was up in the zone. Pretty good pitch, about 91 miles an hour. He let it fly and just missed it there. See the mistake there at the top of the zone.
Cruz off first base. Hardy the swing and the miss. First K for Peavy.
Well, maybe a little cutter there off his 91 mile an hour fastball. Just takes a little off. You see his hand get on the side of the baseball. A little bit of movement, but I think it was just the change of speeds that got Hardy out in front.
Take a look at our Jeep Inside the Numbers on PV.
And there it is. Before May 1st, 1-0 record, 287 earned run average. But since then, 0-3 with a 607 earned run average.
Leadoff man on for the Orioles. Cruz still there. David Lowe up. He's got a 5-game hit streak coming in. Couple of hits, 6 at bats off PV, getting the start in center to give Adam Jones a break in the field, and Jones DHing and has already delivered a home run.
And actually, yeah, to keep his bat in the lineup. David Lowe's been swinging it. He has been red hot. 6 for his last 14, a couple home runs, 5 RBI in his last 6 games. So, you know, ride him if he's swinging it. There you go. He's got great speed. One of the real base stealing threats the Orioles have.
Takes the pitch down low, and a 1-ball 1-strike count on Lowe with Joseph waiting on deck. Orioles looking to make up some ground in the American League East with this 3-game set against the Red Sox and then 4 games against the team they are chasing, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Orioles still in second place with that 5.5-game differential with the Jays. And this could be a big series to help knock the Red Sox down further and keep separating these teams. Throw over to get Cruz back to the bag. Base stealers are 3 out of 6 when Peavy's on the mound. Ross has thrown out 4 out of 17. A.J. Pierzynski, their starting catcher, caught in the ball game last night, so getting the break today. 1-1 delivery. It'll be foul back. Ball and 2 strikes on Lowe. We'll show you some numbers later. The Orioles have finished the stand we talked about for a long time. 40 games in which they played only 3 against the East. And Buck Showalter said if we come out of that set with our head above water, then we got a shot. And they have. They're 31-30, a game above 500. All those non-division games. And the pitch taken outside, framed by Ross to no avail. 2-2.
Yeah, you know, I think this Orioles team, like so many, you know, go through these stretches where they're just hoping, like you said, to keep his head above water and, you know, fight it out until you can really come together. And we've talked about this Orioles team. Sure, they've had some success this year, but I don't think we've seen the best part of them. I mean, they haven't really gotten on a roll where everything's worked together. You know, starting pitchers getting deep into ball games, the offense, you know, staying consistent. They've had good stretches, and they've won 5 games in a row. But they could really have the ability to rattle off more than that, and at least gain more ground.
These 2-for-1 ball games we talk about when you're playing against division rivals. 2-2 delivered the off-speed pitch and a good one. So Peavy broke that one in, and 2 strikeouts in a row as Lowe is retired.
A little backdoor cutter here. Pretty good location. That's what Peavy's going to have to do. Work the edges. Nothing overpowering in the zone, and he does work the edge there. Gets the call.
So a runner on with 2 away now, and that'll bring up Joseph. Caleb Joseph, the Oriole catcher, back in behind the plate. 3 RBIs put up, trying to get the bat going as he's getting a lot of time now, catching wise. And the breaking ball is going to be in there for a strike. Joseph starting his 15th ball game behind the plate for the Orioles, and already a impact player with the throw out of Holt trying to steal against him. There's Matt Wieters, throw again today. Matt, of course, doing nothing baseball wise except soft tossing every other day. He's going to go see Dr. Andrews on Monday, week from today, just to get an update, see what the doctor thinks on whether or not that elbow is coming along. There's a broken back ground ball to short. Herrera plays it over to Pedroia for the force out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. After a couple, it's the Jones home run that's on the board. Just talking about coming off that stretch where they played 37 games out of the division and 3 against Tampa in the division.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, those 40 games were full of ups and downs, both offensively, defensively, and pitching wise. There's a look at the overall numbers. Batting average 263, 50 home runs. Now that's a huge number. They really picked it up there. Runs per game, though, that was up and down. 4.1 was the average, and that earned run average of 4.21. And it has been, I mean, the offense heated up for a stretch of 5-6 games, and then it would cool down. The starting pitching was there at times, and then it would cool down. And, you know, you just battle through it, like Buck said, and hopefully you come out, you know, with your head above water. And I believe they have, and I think the stretches that they've had, this team really believes in themselves. You know, I think there's been enough positive things that say, every guy to a man says, listen, we just haven't come quite together, but it is there. Our best games are ahead of us, and that's what's keeping them going.
Here's Grady Sizemore, and he'll take the strike. He's saying to Mike before the game, Sizemore, and I don't mean this negatively towards him at all, but a reminder, watch those spring training numbers. They can fool you. He had as good a spring training as anyone maybe in the world has ever had, and earned the right to be with the ball club. But it is tailored away. Now hitting at 222. And I asked some of the Red Sox people, well, how long can you go on with the outfield the way it is with Sizemore and playing on a more or less regular basis? And the answer was there isn't anybody else. They just don't have people available, evidenced by the fact that they've put an infielder, Holt, into left field to play a place he's never played before in his life.
Yeah, they have had some troubles. Victorino's been on the disabled list a couple times. Well, they definitely miss him.
Up in the air to right field. Markakis. Sizemore is retired. One away, third inning. Text Masson's word of the day, steakhouse, to 29292 for your chance to have a meet and greet with Chris Davis, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Try the new Moonshine Barbecue. I'll be there shortly. Sounds good to me. That'll bring Herrera up. Herrera's getting the start at shortstop. He's had 7 hits in his last 15 at bats. This is a utility player. The Red Sox have as one of the super utility type guys who they can move around, play as needed. Foul back, and Herrera, one of those who just tries to take advantage of every opportunity he has when he gets into a ball game.
Yeah, switch hitter, and yeah, they're kind of riding him right now, this little hitting streak over the last 4 games.
They've got Drew back, of course, to play at shortstop, but he's trying to get into game shape, season shape. Bogarts had been there, and then they move him back to third when they finally get Drew signed again. Pitch will be taken outside, and a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Jonathan Herrera.
Yeah, that was an interesting offseason for the Red Sox. Not signing J.D. Drew, and you know, going with Bogarts up the middle, a very young, you know, backbone of the team with Bogarts and Bradley Jr. in center field.
3 strikeouts for Norris.
Bud Norris has been aggressive in the zone. He didn't waste any time here. I mean, it isn't probably the pitch that he wanted, the location. Herrera over aggressive, chasing up and out of the zone. Bud Norris picks up his 3rd strikeout.
And Norris with a chance to go through the order the first time with a limited number of batters faced. Holtz got the only hit, a leadoff single, but he was thrown out trying to steal. Here is Ross, 2 for 6 with a homer, lifetime off Norris, who bends that first pitch in there for a strike. Ross doing the catching in the ball game. Pierzynski has caught most of them, 42 games. Ross has caught 21, including this one. Here's the 0-1 delivery inside.
They lost Salta Lamacchia over the offseason, so they picked up the veteran catcher Pierzynski.
AJ worked in the ball game last night, a Sunday night game in Detroit. 1-1 delivery on the way, and a towering pop-up behind second base. Low coming in. Everybody else will peel off, and he puts it away. So he gets it done. Only the leadoff single the first time through the order, and only 9 faced over 3. Orioles have the 1-0 lead. Middle second inning. That is Christopher Hogan. Did not know his wife had nominated him to be honored here as a member of the military. 11 years of service, Army Reserve, Guantanamo Bay, Iraq, and Afghanistan. His wife Nikki on hand, their children Olivia and Caden. He's now a patrol officer for the Baltimore County Police Department. Recognized over the PA system and by a standing ovation from the crowd for Christopher Hogan. Thank you, sir. That is taken for a strike as the Orioles bat here in the third. Flaherty, Markakis, and Manny Machado. Ryan Flaherty with a 1-for-3 lifetime off Peavy. He will swing through that one, getting the start at second base tonight.
Now, pretty tough for a player like Ryan Flaherty, a great defender, and he's done some super things actually offensively as well.
Got him.
Tough when you don't get many at bats. See Peavy mixing up his pitches there. And we'll take care of him with the two-seam fastball. Ross setting up in, and look at it run back over that inner third.
Here's how the Red Sox come into this series offensively. They are 11th in both average and runs and 13th in home runs. Their pitching is what's gotten them through some games. Overall, they are 4th in ERA. Their starters are 10th. Their bullpen is 3rd in earned run average. Defensively, they are tied for 5th in fielding percentage in the American League. John Farrell's ball club, as Mike has noted, it has been a struggle.
Well, so many Red Sox teams from the past really built around their offense. Yep. And kind of letting them down this season.
Nick Markakis, a base hit his first time up. 14-game hit streak now for Nick. And a .382 batting average during that streak. I mean, that is really a sensational number for any batting streak. Here's the 1-1 delivery. The Red Sox move it a little bit. Teams of late have been playing him pretty much straight up.
Yeah, and they're working a little bit of shift here. Sliding Bogarts over in that 5-6 hole. See Herrera pretty much right up the middle.
And Markakis took advantage of it on that base hit his first time up. Going where they weren't on that left side of the infield. 2-ball, 2-strike count.
I don't think Nick Markakis really has a pull tendency. I think he just takes the ball where it's pitched. And you would think if they're going to incorporate this type of shift on Markakis, they might pitch him in.
He did there, and a foul.
They give him a couple pitches away. His first at bat didn't waste any time slapping one through that shift the other way.
So Nick comes back with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. The Orioles, the home run by Jones in the first inning is 10th. It's the only one on the board. Peavy has given up 11 home runs this season. 7 of those have been hit by left-handers. Adam got the 4th by a right-hander. 2-ball, 2-strike count. And a ground ball to the middle. That's in the shift, right over the bag. Herrera makes the play. 2 down. Tomorrow when the Orioles take on the Red Sox, don't miss Ollie's Bargain Night. Presented by Ollie's Bargain Outlet every Tuesday. Home game, all upper reserve seats are only $9 when purchased in advance. Show your Birdland pride and save. Tickets go fast. Get yours now at Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. 2 down, nobody on, and here is Manny Machado hit into a double play. His first time up. And Manny will take the pitch that'll be in there for a strike. Peavy with the 0-1. Machado reaching and will foul that one back. Peavy throwing a lot of strikes in the ball game so far.
It really is, and he's mixing up his pitches, throwing some cutters, some change-ups. That 2-seam fastball we've seen.
Got a 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio so far, and he'll get him swinging on a slider away. Peavy gets his 4th strikeout, 2 in the last inning and 2 here as he retires the side in order. We've completed 3 first game of the 3-game set. Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Luna. For your beautiful new carpet, hardwood, and laminate, call 877-241-LUNA. Gary Thorne, Mike Wardick with you here at Camden Yards tonight. 78 degrees. Very little breeze tonight, and a beautiful night for baseball, and a good crowd to see this Monday night ball game. Right back here for 2 more against the Red Sox tomorrow and Wednesday. Bud Norris, no walks, 3 strikeouts so far. Peavy a walk and 4 strikeouts.
Bud looking really good to this point. 36 pitches. See his breakdown: 61% fastballs, the 31% breaking balls, and some good changeups in 3-2 counts.
Holt, who had a single, the only hit the Red Sox have so far, leading it off 4th inning. Holt's got a 9-game hit streak going and hitting over .430 against the Orioles this year. He's one of the rookies at the top offensively. First among rookies with a .339 average. Will be in consideration when rookies are taken a look at come the end of the year. Orioles 29-year-old right-hander, facing only the minimum 9 through the first 3. 0-2 delivery and a breaking ball that misses.
Holt actually, since moving in the leadoff spot, has really flourished. He's hitting .350 up there, much like the Orioles' Nick Markakis. He's kind of taking off, seeing the ball well, getting on base, picking up his hits.
Two of the best leadoff batters in the game right now in this game. A little chopper. He's got good speed. Norris will hustle it over. Let's open up our Major League notebook and take a look on the page. It says over the weekend, Heath Bell opted out of the minor league deal with the Orioles. He is now a free agent. Joe Maddon's Tampa Bay Rays struggling, so he invited a member of the Seminole Indian tribe, medicine man and leader Bobby Henry, to come to the ballpark tonight and work his magic to try and get things turned around. And Lewis Reinhardt, a 100-year-old Cub fan, took the ball to the mound yesterday celebrating Wrigley Field's 100th anniversary season. I should say, Joe, nothing's working. Bogart's up. Today in Tampa Bay, Seattle beat him 3-0. Medicine man or not. Joe Beimel got the win coming on in relief. Price the loss. He went 8 innings. He gave up 3 runs on 7 hits. Rodney got the save, his 18th. Cano had a 1 for 3. The big 2-run double fouled off. And James Jones went 3 for 4 with an RBI in that ball game. So Tampa Bay, the struggles go on.
Madden's trying, though. Trying everything. Why not?
Why not?
He's been an innovator. And I'll tell you what, if they run off 10 games in a row, you know everybody's going to be calling
That's right.
medicine man up.
The tribal leader will be back in every ballpark. Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way. Bogarts to short. Hit it hard. Hardy's there, though. He makes the throw, and we'll get him. And it's time for all fans to tweet your photo using hashtag #MassonFanPhotos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast. It is brought to you by AT&T. 2 down, nobody on. Some ground balls coming up here. 10 in a row retired. Leadoff single by Holt. He was caught stealing, so it's still the minimum number faced. Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia, strikeout victim, his first time up. Play it pretty straight up here with Pedroia as far as the defense is concerned. He will take the pitch up high for a ball.
But going to that changeup, real nice changeup to get Holt to ground out weakly back to him, and starts Pedroia off with the change there.
1-0 delivery, check swing. Did he go? Yes. Brian Gorman, the crew chief, down at first on the call. And 1-1.
Well, nice slider. Pick up the check swing strike. Great location. Now Bud Norris, a power pitcher, so hitters gearing up to try to catch up to that 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, but going to some off speed pitches.
That one will be fouled away.
And now you're guessing. You fall behind. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's seen a changeup, slider, and a fastball. Well, how's Bud going to try to finish you off? There's a couple different weapons. He can elevate his fastball. He can try that slider down and away. That's his typical swing and miss out pitch.
Pedroia, 303 lifetime average here at Camden Yards. 4 homers. Takes that to second base. Flaherty over, got in front of it. Makes the nice play. And another 1, 2, 3 inning. Right now, Bud Norris is cruising. The Orioles on top, and Jones, who had the home run in the first, will lead it off in the 4th. Never stop improving, and it's brought to you by Lowe's.
Well, it's Adam Jones. I mean, he started off, it's pretty good, very respectable. March through May, 54 games, 283, 6 home runs, 29 RBIs. But I'll tell you what, he has caught fire. Last 8 games in June, 433, 4 home runs, 10 RBI. Look at that OPS, 1.319. All 4 of those home runs on the right side of second base.
Pretty interesting. That kind of takes that slider pitch that they use to try and get him out, slider down and away, a little more dangerous for pitchers if they start seeing he's hitting home runs the other way.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a pitch you're going to drive if you can get to it. And if he's willing to do that, which he obviously is now, and not try and pull it, it'll make you think twice. Adam is the DH, as we said. This is only the second time he's DH'd. He's now 3 for 5 in the DH role this year. The 0-1 delivery on the way, and that'll miss. For Peavy, he's gone 10 out of 12 first pitch strikes. Norris 9 out of 12, so both are finding the strike zone and getting ahead of the hitters. 1-1 delivery by Peavy, and Jones inside out down the line. Could be a problem if it's fair. It is, and it's going to be a base hit. A Bermuda triangle right along the line in right field, with Brian Gorman, the umpire, chasing it down along with the players, and Adam is 2 for 2.
Good stuff right there from Adam Jones. You see him pull his hands in. Now this is why he's been so good. That ability to take that inside pitch up the middle of the other way. Well, he got a little luck here as it lands right on the foul line. But hey, he deserves one of those. He has been red hot.
Adam really doing it all. He's been the leader in infield hits this season in the American League. He's putting some home runs up on the board and now dumping some dying quails down the line. Shift on against Davis, who flied out to left his first time up. Bunting to third. How about that? Peavy gonna throw it and got him. Oh! A one hopper and a close play. Buck Showalter will come out. Wayne Kirby, first base coach, thought he was safe.
Well, great bunt by Chris Davis. I mean, we've talked about this, that opportunity with this left side wide open. Let's take a look.
He's safe.
He is safe.
They're going to overturn that one if Buck challenges.
Oh, Buck's got to challenge that one.
Yep, he will. So he gets the sign from his coordinator that go ahead and challenge, and that's clearly a base hit.
And the good news is, I mean, it is very obvious that Chris Davis beat it out. I mean, one of these very rare power hitters. We talk about Adam Jones with that great speed and power combination. Well, Chris Davis runs very well for a big guy. And if this indeed is overturned, which it looks like it should be,
quickly even,
this will be big for Chris Davis, because here he's just showing, okay, you got it down successfully, you got a base hit out of it. Hey, you might try it again, and that might keep defenses more honest.
If you're the Red Sox, the next time he comes up, what do you do? I know the situation.
Thinking about it for sure. Yeah. You might slide that third baseman over and in.
So Chris Davis lays the bunt down and gets a base hit. The Orioles have 2 on and nobody out here in the 4th inning. And Cruz coming up will get the RBI chance. Well, fans love that. Give him a great hand.
And you know, you can't go wrong with either one of these guys, Adam Jones, Chris Davis, or Nelson Cruz. If they do something like that, they have each other backing them up. And all 3 of them such dangerous RBI producers. And Nelson Cruz has had the great consistency now with 2 guys on. Very dangerous at bat here for Peavy.
328 with runners in scoring position for Cruz this year. And a check swing strike on the inside corner. That may be the quickest challenge we've had all year. It took 27 seconds.
All right.
All I had to do was look at that one replay and you knew he was safe. That's why they do it. Then Brian Gorman, the crew chief, he went over and got the word from New York. Cruz drew a walk his first time up. Orioles now with 4 hits off Peavy. Nelson on a chopper off the end of the bat. Stays right there. Long ball. Nelson.
Oh, yeah, he can hit him. Did it against the Red Sox versus Peavy there on April 20th. Way up over the Green Monster. Oh no, did my New England accent come out?
No, sir. You did not say monster. 1 ball, 2 strikeout on Cruz. Orioles are now 5 for 9, by the way, in challenges. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way. Cruz way out in front. And reverses direction on that ball. It'll stay at 1-2.
Now a little change up, and he gets out in front. A little too quick. I don't think Peavy has enough to get one by Nelson Cruz, but certainly out in front with his off-speed offerings.
Peavy trying to finesse it here. And here's the 1-2 delivery. A look back. Peavy in the outing against the Orioles, it was his 4th start of the year. Gave up 5 runs on 10 hits in 5 2/3 innings against the Orioles in a ball game the Red Sox actually came around to win. He was non-decision. First time he's pitched in this ballpark. And a swing and a miss.
Cruz wants this one back. See Ross setting up outside. It's a little cutter at the top of the zone, and oh, he just misses it. Maybe saw it too good. Might have pulled the head off just a touch.
5 strikeouts for Peavy. His season high is 8. He did it twice against Texas and the White Sox in back-to-back starts earlier in the year. His 2nd and 3rd starts of the year. Here's J.J. Hardy, a strikeout victim his first time up. Here's that bender again. That's the pitch that's fooling the Oriole hitters once in a while. You can see him kind of jelly leg and lean back.
Yep. I mean, he's got him. He's got some off-speed pitches, and he typically really mixes them up well and kind of sets up his fastball that he can work pretty good on the edges. I mean, he's going to show these hitters everything, both lefties and righties.
Pick-off look. Pedroia had moved in. One of the best with runners in scoring position in the league, J.J. Hardy. J.J. with his .367 average in these situations is now 5th in the American League, and he has been among the top 10 for much of the season. 0-1 count. Runners off first and second. Peavy's delivery, and that'll just miss outside.
Well, J.J. Hardy, there may be some frustration without the home run yet this season, but it's been hitting high for average, been hovering right around 300. A lot of multiple hit games. And there you see that runners in scoring position, 367.
In the air to right field, it'll come back to Nava. Jones trying to tag, but he got to go back to the bag, so he'll stay where he is. And there are 2 down with 2 on. Wednesday, when the Birds take on the Red Sox at 7:05, all fans are going to get the Oriole Way t-shirt. Don't miss this great new design. There are several popular fan rally cries, images, and moments from the 60-year history. You can celebrate the Oriole Way. Tributes to everything from Wild Bill to Why Not teams, to the Orioles Magic and the Buckle Up Birds. Tickets going fast, so get yours at 888-848-BIRD or go to Orioles.com. Tickets are always going fast. Here's David Lowe coming up. A little discussion first.
They're going to make sure here. They know David Lowe's been one of the hotter hitters for the Orioles. And he does have that home run potential, a couple home runs on average, climbing up there rapidly.
He's gone 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position this year. 158 average. Strikeout victim his first time up. Peavy with 2 down. And the pop-up. Ross, Bogaerts. And you can't go in the dugout. Under the old rule, Bogaerts might have done just that. That was a chance where he could have gone down the steps and caught the ball while in the dugout, possibly. But you can't do that anymore.
No.
You can only lean in.
Oh, I think Bogaerts actually found the wall too soon and misjudged where the ball was going to end up. He gets over there on the outside of the dugout, and watch where this baseball ends up landing. I mean, I think if he would have got to that spot where he is now sooner, he would have been able to possibly make a play. But his anticipation of where the ball, was where he thought the ball was going to be, was off by about 10 feet.
Ross was actually closer to where the ball was, the catcher. So 1 strikeout on David Lowe. Jones off second, Davis off first. Both have singles. And low in the off-speed delivery over the top of it, and a 2-strike count. Peavy is the epitome, I think, of a veteran pitcher. He's just working his way around hitters, and it's the knowledge of the game and how to pitch that he does it with.
Exactly. You know, when he was younger, he was pretty much a power pitcher, very aggressive. We saw another guy yesterday, Casimir, that, you know, when he was younger, a power type pitcher, but has learned how to pitch and manipulate his way through lineups. And you see Peavy mixing up all his pitches.
Into the glove. Makes the flip over to first base. I think he caught that on a line drive, unless my eyes were bad. Apparently he wanted to make sure.
He wanted to get that bonus out, carry over the next inning.
Exactly. No runs, 2 hits. Coming in for this first game against the Red Sox, Bud Norris on the money. He gave up a leadoff single to Holt. He hasn't given up anything since. Has 3 strikeouts against Peavy. Adam Jones, home run, his 10th of the year, first inning, and the Orioles up 1-0, and that's where we are right now.
Pretty good ball game. Real good pitchers duel here. Adam Jones, that solo shot put the Orioles on the board, but been fun to watch both Bud Norris and Peavy go at it.
Here is David Ortiz to lead it off. He grounded out his first time up, and Ortiz will take the pitch away for a ball. We're talking about designated hitters in his first at bat. He's one of the, trying to think of another pure DH left, the guy that just DHs. I mean, they are a dwindling few as more teams turn, as the Orioles have, to a number of players down to first and foul. As a DH, David Ortiz first in homers and first in RBIs as a designated hitter. Nelson Cruz has actually had bigger overall numbers, but has played both as a DH, of course, left and right field as well. 1 ball, 1 strike count.
Yeah, there aren't many pure DHs left in the game. I think with all the interleague play, managers like that versatility, ability to have guys to play other positions out in the field.
It's a little cat and mouse right here, Mike. Norris wasn't real happy Ortiz stepped out, so Ortiz stepped in, and Norris walked to the back of the mound.
It's all right.
That's right.
Old school stuff.
Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way, and the pitch will be outside. A 2 ball, 1 strike count. Ortiz, a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs against the Orioles this year. He has 40 career home runs against the Orioles. Shift on against him, into the shift, diving, and a great catch made by Flaherty. Don't tell Ortiz the shift doesn't work.
Right. Bobby Dickerson appreciating that. I mean, that is a bullet out there. Ryan Flaherty playing the rover position out in shallow right field. Look at the jump he gets. The full extension. Using that full frame. Great play by Ryan Flaherty. There it is in the slow-mo. Good concentration. Catching it almost behind him. Ortiz got on that pitch. Bud Norris appreciating the play. Both hands up.
Flaherty hauling it in, now moves the other way. With the right-hander of Napoli, they shift to the other side. And Napoli will take it for a ball. He was a strikeout victim his first time up. Everybody over there except Chris Davis on the right side.
That's one thing that impresses me about these infielders nowadays. Now, Ryan Flaherty, of course, a super utility player, can play short, second, third, anywhere on the field, actually. But for a player like J.J. Hardy, you know, shortstop, when he has to go over to the second base side, it's a completely different look. Now, he's probably more comfortable with it now that they've done it, you know, for a few years. But I remember as a young player, I mean, it would throw me off if I ended up getting shifted over on some power hitters, and we didn't have the big shift very often. But when I did, I felt really uncomfortable. But these guys making it look pretty easy.
And here you see that shift during the at-bat. Flaherty now moves back to the other side of second base. I think the Orioles do more of that than any other team.
Yeah, within the count.
Yeah, within the count.
I think they do.
Yep.
Sure.
1 ball, 2 strike count, Napoli, and he'll take that one down low. We have talked about this Red Sox outfield a bit with Nava waiting on deck. Some interesting numbers that were run by Sports Illustrated, which really amaze me. Tom Verducci's story about the outfield of the Red Sox. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Right now, this Red Sox outfield since 1961, when we went to a 162 game schedule, is the worst outfield in batting average, OPS, and home runs that the Red Sox have ever had.
Well, they've had some great outfields, you know.
Yeah. That pitch is a strike called, and Norris gets strikeout number 4.
Well, Bud Norris challenging here with the fastball. Doesn't actually quite hit the spot he wants, but good velocity at 94. Keeps it down in the zone, catches that inside corner for another big K.
And the outfielders that are numbered in that are Gomes, Bradley Jr., Shane Victorino. They have been primary outfielders for this team. And even worse yet, their batting average right now is the lowest of any team for an outfield in 53 years in the majors. So you understand why Holt, who is hitting the heck out of it, got moved from the infield to the outfield. Got to do something to find some extra production, and you hope the player that moves in for him will do the same in the infield. Down to first, underneath the glove of Davis. Nava over to get in Nick Markakis. Nava's going to go for 2, and he'll get in easily. There is the first hit since Holt, leading off the ball game, had a single off Norris.
Yeah, and after that ball got by Davis, he was surprised it didn't go in his glove. I mean, Nava stung this pitch. He gets to it, ends up working himself back over that inner third, but he was on it. He just got by him. Right after it got by him, he was surprised that he missed it.
So Nava's on with a 2-bagger. 13 in a row had been retired by Bud Norris prior to that double. And in a 1-run ball game, that means the potential tying runners at second base with 2 away for Sizemore, who flied out to right field his first time up. Right back to the mound on the first pitch. Norris will make the underhand flip. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a base runner left on. The first chance for the Red Sox with a runner in scoring position in the ball game. Volkswagen, June 30, 2009. After cutting a Red Sox lead 10-1, seventh inning, Nick Markakis in the eighth provided a game-winning double. It sent home Jeremy Guthrie, pinch runner, and Brian Roberts to the plate. The Orioles in 2 innings scored 10 runs, beating the Red Sox in the greatest comeback in franchise history. And that was after there'd been like a 2-hour rain delay in the 7th inning. It was one of the most incredible comebacks you'll ever see in the biggest in Oriole history.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Here is Caleb Joseph. Joseph, Flaherty, and Markakis due up. Joseph hit into a fielder's choice. Jake Peavy on the mound, the 1-0 delivery, and that's in there for a strike. So a pitcher's game here. 1-4-0 for the Orioles, 0-2-0 for the Red Sox. Orioles have left 3. The Red Sox have left 1. One ball, one strike delivery by Peavy and a towering fly ball center field.
Tough to see.
Where is it? Oh, Sizemore did not know where it was. He put his arms out for a moment, then found it and makes the catch. A little help, I think, from Pedroia and his right fielder Nava.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think when players go out there, especially a veteran player like Dustin Pedroia, they know where the sky is, the twilight. And check this high towering pop-up. Now he's going back, he's pointing it up, and he keeps on running. I mean, that's pretty impressive right there. And hollering at Sizemore, that's good stuff.
And a base hit. Ryan Flaherty, seeing his first pitch of the at-bat, delivers a single. He is 1 for 2. On Friday, Orioles pitcher Zach Britton's going to be signing autographs, meeting fans at the official Orioles team store in the York Galleria. Zach will be on hand from noon to 1. Don't miss your chance to meet the Orioles reliever. Friday, noon to 1, the official Orioles team store in the York Galleria. For more information on that and other community events, go to OriolesReach.com. There's Zach. Ryan Mattis in the bullpen. Zach's the one eating. Here is Nick Markakis. 1 on and 1 out. Markakis, a base hit and is grounded out. He shows bunt. Again, Bogaerts is in the shortstop hole with a shift on against Markakis.
Well, here you go. I mean, every other team has played Markakis in on the grass, and we make comments about, geez, he's never shown a bunt. Third baseman backs up in the hole, and here it is. He shows a bunt. Hey.
You like what he saw from Chris Davis?
Yes, he did.
0-1 count. Peavy with a long hold, and he'll miss outside. 1 ball, 1 strike count with 1 away. The Orioles 5 hits. Now Nick Markakis trying to move him around here in a tight ball game in the middle of it in the 5th inning.
Well, they're pinching the middle on him defensively. He's got a little bit of a hole over there at first base with Flaherty on, and he's also got that left field line wide open. Have a look at it. Shortstop pretty much straight up. He'll be the pivot man for both Pedroia and Bogaerts at third.
Outfield shaded a bit towards left. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner off first, and the pitch is going to miss outside for a ball. Nick now has picked up 4 hits in 12 at bats lifetime off Peavy. Pretty good numbers against him. Checking with Bobby Dickerson down at third base. 2 ball, 1 strike count, 1 away. Flaherty, short lead at first base, being held by Napoli. Oh, he got it. Will it stay fair? You bet. Way back and goodbye. Home run. To the flagpoles went Nick Markakis. A 2 RBI homer for the Orioles, his 6th of the year, and a 3-0 O's lead.
Making a bid for that All-Star game. He's been turning on some balls, a couple home runs on the road trip that he pulled. Got on that inside fastball.
Our Maryland lottery contestant of the game, Zorik Tilmian, a couple of home runs, is now up to $1,500 in the ball game. And Markakis gives the Orioles the 3-0 lead on the 6th hit of the O's for the O's in the ball game. Here's Manny Machado, who takes it for a ball.
Take a look at Markakis' swing here. A little cutter working its way in, but look at how tight he pulls his hands in. Hips explode at the same time, and he knew it right off the bat.
Machado takes it inside. That is the 25th multi-hit game now for Nick Markakis. He was second in the American League in multi-hit games coming in to the play today. He's had a single and a home run in this ball game, where he is putting up some unbelievable numbers. He also has that 14-game hit streak now.
Well, how do you pitch him? I mean, you try to get in there and he's turning on it. You pitch him away, he takes it the other way. Pretty impressive stuff here by Nick Markakis, working that back, the magic wand right now.
That'll go to the hole. Herrera, and he'll get it over there in time. Second out of the inning. When the Orioles win, everyone wins, and all season long when the Orioles win and score 5 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com by entering promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, valid at participating Baltimore area Papa John's. 2 home runs. Markakis the second off Peavy. This is the first ball game this year where Peavy has given up 2 home runs in a game. He has now given up 12 on the season. Jones, the other home run that came in the first inning, he is also singled. And that pitch will be taken outside for a ball. Orioles up 3-0 in the opener of the 3-game set. And for Adam, it'll be his 22nd multi-hit game, and that's going to be in for a base hit. Jones with a 3-hit ball game, his 4th 3-hit game of the year.
Red hot here. A couple hits the other way. Of course, that home run to center, and he just beats the third baseman. See the glove get out there, trying to get that angle on the ball. A little too much pace off the bat, Adam Jones.
So Davis comes up with the bunt base hit in the 4th inning, the first bunt base hit of his career, and they don't believe it. They're going to put the shift on even more, to a greater degree than they did the last time he was up. So if they're saying, look, you want to bunt for a base hit, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, 2 outs though in this situation. I don't know.
Orioles want the long ball or an extra base hit off him right here. 2 down, runner at first base. Davis will swing and foul it off. That was also his first hit off Peavy.
And take a look at Chris Davis's bunt. Beautiful job. He showed it early, got it out there. You really don't have to be too quick with it. He took his time and put it in a perfect spot. Peavy tried to make a great play, but Davis has good speed going down that line to beat it out.
He was called out. They went to the video replay, and it was overturned. And the pitch is inside just a bit. 1 ball and 1 strike. Davis to be followed by Cruz if he can keep the inning going. Adam Jones at first. Pedroia way out there in the outfield. Davis puts a towering fly ball to center. Sizemore, see if he can see this one. He does, and he will put it away. So the Orioles will pick up a run on 3 hits in the inning. Flaherty got the single with 1 away. Markakis delivered his 6th home run, good for 2, and 3-0 O's. Bank for the achiever in you. By Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at ococean.com. And by University of Maryland, University College. Beautiful summer night, early summer night here in Baltimore. Nick Markakis driving the home run in that 5th inning to give the Orioles the 3-0 lead. On the mound, Norris is getting it done. He hasn't walked anybody. He has struck out 4. He has lost a game to the Red Sox this year. His overall record against them lifetime is 0-2. 5th career start against Boston. And the pitch going to be taken up high. Jonathan Herrera at short in this game. Herrera a strikeout victim. Ross and then Holt at the top of the order due up. Manny Machado in at third base. 1-0. Both pitchers have wanted those corner calls, and neither are getting them, as Will Little, the home plate umpire, has got a consistent strike zone that's wedged in a little bit. You got to throw a strike to get one. And that's one of those pitches right there that will miss, and the count goes 3-0.
Borderline right there. Bud's done a nice job this whole ball game about not falling behind. Now here he's got to work himself back in, trying to work that outside corner here to Herrera and just miss it.
And gets the strike on the inside corner that time.
He made sure
Norris,
about that one.
I'm sorry, Mike. Norris has always been a backward pitcher with the allowing leadoff men on. He's better when there are runners on than when there aren't. He's best when they're in scoring position. The numbers keep going down. It makes very little difference for him whether the first pitch is a strike or not. The batting average is almost the same whether it starts with a strike or starts with a ball. 3-ball, 2-strike delivery on the way, and walked in. So came back on him, but not quite enough to get him. Our PNC minor league report is brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you.
No way. Christian Walker again. I mean, this guy has had an outstanding season. Look at that offensive production. 16 home runs, 51 RBI. Now he's a gap-to-gap guy that's really learning how to hit the long ball. And he's been very productive. 41 runs this season and a high batting average at .313. 4th-round pick back in 2012. And he's shown consistent offensive production.
Ross will go in the air to center field low. And he's got it. Runner will go back to the bag. One away here in the 6th inning. As promised earlier in the game, our AT&T's fan photo. 2 cuties and 1 shot. Think a baseball fan there on the left. 1 down. Runner remains at first base. That'll bring up Holt. Leadoff single, and he is grounded out. Manny Machado a step off the grass at third base. Holt has outstanding speed. And the pitch will be taken up high for a ball. 1-0 count, 1 on and 1 down. Toronto's got the midway lead on Minnesota 4-2 in their ball game tonight. Tampa Bay's already lost. That pitch, a fastball in there for a strike.
And we can see why Holt is having some success. Real quiet in the box, not a lot of movement going on. Creates a little rhythm with his hands. Short stride. And has that ability to use the whole field, drive the ball all over the place. Not a real power hitter, but he can pick up his doubles. Back on June 1st, 4 for 4 with 4 doubles in that ball game. So he can work the gaps.
Current hit streak up to 9 games, and during the hit streak he's had 17 hits in 40 at bats for John Farrell's team. A 2-ball 1-strike count on Holt. Herrera at first base. Norris delivers. Fastball that will miss away. And for the first inning, a bit of a struggle now for Norris. as the count goes to 3-1. 71 pitches thrown.
It hasn't really fallen behind much to hitters in this ball game. A couple in this inning, helped out by Ross swinging early, but Herrera worked a 3-2 walk, and now Holt at 3-1.
Orioles adjust the infield to a full shift on the count, and he showed bunt, and he draws a walk. So that's 2 in a row now, 2 in the inning rather, that have gotten on base via the walk. The only 2 walks surrendered in the ball game coming here in the 6th inning.
Well, I thought we saw enough walks in yesterday's ball game to take care of the rest of the week, but a couple here from Bud Norris. He's still, holding good velocity. You can see the frustration a little bit, shaking his head.
It brings the potential tying run to the plate. Bogart's coming up 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position for the Red Sox in the ball game.
Bogarts has stayed pretty consistent in this Red Sox lineup all year long. A .293 batting average. He does have the 5 home runs.
So Bogarts just a .167 with runners in scoring position this year. O's infield, double play depth. And a timeout asked for by Caleb Joseph, the catcher.
Ryan Flaherty in there creeping up on Herrera. And keep him close there. And the Red Sox tried to run early in the ball game.
0-1 in the air, right field. Runner will tag at second and stay there. Markakis gets it in. Bogarts is retired, and there are 2 down. So, first real dangerous moment for Norris in the game, with Pedroia coming up 2 on, even though there are 2 down. Pedroia 0 for 2 in the ball game, has struck out, grounded out, a 2 for 8 lifetime off Norris. This is when the Red Sox offense has been at its best this year. From the 6th inning on, they have a run differential of +25. It is the 4th largest run differential in the majors from the 6th inning on in a ball game. Though Pedroia up 2 on, 2 down.
Bud loses that changeup up and in. I know it looks terrible, but just tough pitch to command. He slipped out there. Pedroia knows it was a change. That 94-mile-an-hour fastball would have caught his attention, but I think any ball kind of leaving the hand and looking like it's coming up and in, but thank goodness a change.
1-0 delivery on the way. Pedroia to short. Hardy, tough play to Flaherty to get the out. That ball was stung. So a couple left on base. The Orioles lead at 3-0. Our deluxe brought to you by Mazda. It'll be Nelson Cruz, J.J. Hardy, and David Lowe for the
Tonight in the first inning, Adam Jones hits a PV slider down and away out of the park. And then Ryan Flaherty robbing David Ortiz, helping Bud Norris out. Nick Markakis staying red hot to extend his 14-game hit streak. The Orioles the lead at 3-0. It's been a pitcher's duel, though. PV 5 innings to 7 hits to 3 earned runs. Bud Norris bettering him 6 innings, just 2 hits, a couple walks and 4 punch outs. Remember, Geico 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And going after the first pitch is Nelson Cruz, who fouls it back. He has struck out, drawn a walk, and that'll be handled for the out. 1 pitch and 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Good play by Ross to get back there. The Orioles thank the 2014 American Heart Association Baltimore Heartball signature sponsors SunTrust and Johns Hopkins Medicine, whose support for the event helped raise $700,000 to help fight heart disease. For more information on how you can help fight heart disease or to donate, just go to Orioles.com/AHA. Here's J.J. Hardy. Hardy 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied out.
Oh, did J.J. make a nice play in that last inning? Had a little bit of a struggle here defensively last week, but a good play there.
Herrera makes the throw, and Hardy's retired. I mean, Hardy's made a couple of mistakes that have cost him, and that's the difference in the ballgame right now. Both these pitchers have done a pretty good job of getting the hitters out with strikes, both of them throwing a lot of strikes.
Well, they sure are. Look at the efficiency there. Just 79 pitches for Peavy. Norris at 76. And known 20 pitch innings, although Peavy had that 19 back in the second. But yeah, a couple mistakes. The long ball helping the O's and hurting Peavy.
First ball, swinging again. Left field. 4 pitches for 3 outs. Most pitchers are going to say, you know, I can do that. That'll work for me. Orioles have the 3-0 lead. Ortiz. Of the Baltimore Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. Nick Markakis, the 2-run homer, 5th inning, his 6th of the year. Adam Jones, solo shot, 1st inning, his 10th. Those are the 3 runs for the Orioles. 3-0. As Bud Norris right now shutting down this Red Sox team on just 2 hits. A single by Holt in the 1st, a double by Nava in the 5th. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position for the Red Sox in the ball game. And the Orioles put the shift on with Ortiz caught up.
A slow shift. They're all walking out there.
Slow shift. It's true. Ortiz lined out into that shift to Flaherty, who made a fine play in the 5th inning, and he grounded out the 1st. Norris's delivery to him fouled off again.
Now Bud has looked really good. You know, aside from that last inning where he had a couple walks. Good command of all of his pitches. Nice life on his fastball, mixing up his off-speed pitches. He's come up with some big change-ups throughout this game. Good command of his slider, which has been so important for him.
The other way and foul by Ortiz. Longest outing for Norris this year is 7 2/3 innings, came against Detroit. Fewest hits surrendered this year, 3. That was against Tampa Bay, but it was in 5 2/3 innings. 2-strike count on David Ortiz. And he got him. 5 strikeouts for Norris.
Boy, that might have been his best fastball. Got some good late movement on that. And the velocity at 95 down in the zone. Now take a look at how this pitch tails down and away. Two-seamer. Boy, that is nasty.
Now the infield moves the other way slowly. Napoli has struck out twice, once swinging, once called. Napoli hitting about the Mendoza line against the Orioles this year, 200. And the pitch will be taken outside for a ball. A couple of home runs, though. He's had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs with a 200 batting average against the Orioles on the year. 1-0 count on Napoli. Second game back after 2 weeks out with a finger injury. Pitch is taken for a ball, and the count will go to 2-0. As the Orioles enter play against these Eastern Division ball clubs, we do something fans like to do. Players and coaches hate it. That's all right. Figure out how many games you got to win if the other team plays .500 baseball. That other team being Toronto. Ball put up in the air to center field. Low going back. Warning track. Wall. And he's out. David Lowe read it perfectly, and there are 2 down. Hey, you need a gift for Dad? The MLB.com at Bat app and subscription to its premium features on the smartphone or tablet. A perfect gift for Dad's Day. He'll have access to features such as live look-ins, instant replay, live audio, free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Just go to MLB.com. Toronto's got a 38-26 record right now. If they play .500 the rest of the way, they'll win 87 games. 87. For the Orioles to match that, the Orioles need only play 55.0 win percentage baseball. They can do that easily. That's something the Orioles. So that's how tight this has got the potential to be. I asked Buck the other day. I said, how many wins do you think it's going to need? I said, I'm looking at like 86 or 87. They win the division. Buck thought it's going to take 90. And I certainly would go with him more than me on that. But that's where we are right now. And that's why you like to get ahead. You win early games. You give yourself, if you're Toronto, that edge of only needing to win .500, play .500 baseball the rest of the way, and be very close to the number of wins you need to win the division.
Yeah, because there's going to be up and downs for all teams.
Yep.
And it's whoever can get on that winning track towards the end.
Nava's pop-up's going to go into the seats. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Nava had a double in the 5th inning, the only extra base hit. Only 2 runners have reached second base for the Red Sox in the ball game. In the 6th, when they got a couple of walks. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
You know, in Bud's last start, he took that ball off the forearm and ended up having to leave the game after the 5th inning. Now his pitch count was up a little bit, but he had been throwing the ball really well on that last start, if not for Beltre, who hit the couple home runs off him. They really had all their RBIs, the 5 RBIs. And Bud looked pretty good. And I guess there's no problem with that forearm.
Still has the outline of the seams, on his arm. 2-ball, 2-strike delivery on the way, and that'll be down low. So a full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nava here in the 7th inning. Nobody on, and the Orioles up 3-0. Right back here tomorrow night with you for game 2. 6:30 O's extra, 7 o'clock for the ball game, and Wei-Yin Chen, Ruby De La Rosa to make the start for the Red Sox. And the pitch will miss. 3rd walk of the game. Those 3 walks coming in the last 2 innings. They'll keep the inning alive for Boston, and Sizemore coming to the plate. Sizemore in his career has had 6 home runs against the Orioles, but only a .214 batting average for Grady Sizemore in the games he's played against the O's.
Well, Red Sox took a chance on Sizemore, and you had mentioned he just had an outstanding spring training, and they just couldn't help but keep him on their team. And they were trying to manage his playing time, knowing that it was going to be hard for him to run out there day in and day out and really try to keep him healthy. And I think that layoff, he's had so many injuries, you know, it's tough grind once you start going. And Sizemore now kind of remembering it. His average at .220.
Only a couple of hits in his last 18 at bats. 0-1 delivered to first, right to Davis, right to the bag. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. 7th inning stretch time here at Camden Yards. The Orioles have the 3-0 lead. With you a bit on Bud Norris and what you're seeing tonight compared to other starts.
Bud looks great, and I'll talk about him in a second. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, Gary. Happy birthday.
I'll kill you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very nice. I appreciate that. The pie was good. I got my box of chocolates right here. It's been a good day so far.
Sure has. We're watching a great ball game, too. I mean, to see Bud Norris pitch the way he has, a couple of walks, 3 walks in this ball game, but really great command of his off-speed pitches, good velocity on his fastball. Super start for Bud Norris. He's outstanding here in this ball game as he's held him to just the Red Sox to 2 hits in the game. So the Orioles will try and add to the lead. Jake Peavy, he has walked 1 and struck out 5. A good performance by Peavy, but the 2 home runs he surrendered have cost him dearly so far in this game. Yeah, he has pitched well. I mean, it has been quite a duel. Joseph on the ball away, 1-1. Talk about Caleb Joseph here. You know, Buck Showalter makes comments about younger players to get their opportunities in the major leagues, and a lot of times the reason why they get chances to play consistently is because of their defense. And we've talked about Caleb Joseph's defense. He's looked so good behind the plate, really handling the pitchers well. Has a winning percentage back there, and the games he's caught, he's throwing out base runners, and that's why Buck keeps putting him in there. Now he doesn't have the batting average right now, but when he does pick up his hits, they've been productive. All 3 RBIs have been game-winning RBIs, put the team ahead. So taking advantage of these opportunities. Still he's heated up here recently, offensively, picking up more consistent hits, but trying to find that rhythm, a consistent rhythm.
Great minor league numbers at the plate, and hoping those can start showing up here for the Orioles. Swing and a miss on that one. Peavy will get him his 6th strikeout of the ball game. 1 down, 7th inning.
Well, looked like a changeup right there. Pretty good fade right at the end to keep it off the bat head. No, a little slider, a little cutter. Kind of backed up, but taking some pace off it at 83 miles an hour. Caleb out in front.
Craig Breslow, Berg Badenhop in the bullpen. They just started throwing you at the start of this inning. 1 down and high in the air, right center field off Flaherty's bat at the wall, and goodbye, home run. The 3rd home run of the ball game for the Orioles, and this one goes to Ryan Flaherty, his 2nd of the year, RBI number 10, and it is 4-0.
Always dangerous when he steps up to the plate. Big, strong kid, great leverage. He can reach out and get him, and that's what he did there to Peavy.
What a night for our Maryland lottery contestant. Zorik Tilmian has had the 3 home runs in the game, plus the 500 for being selected, a $2,000 night. And the Orioles have a 4-0 lead. Top of the order, Marquez will take it for a strike.
Let's take a look at Ryan's home run here. First pitch, and it's up and out over. Actually out on that outside part of the plate, but look at him get the bat head out in front. Staying through it. Good extension.
Orioles using the long ball in this game. And a swing and a foul tip into the mitt. Marquez got his 6th home run in the 5th inning. Had a single in the 1st, a 2-for-3 ball game. He's sitting right about the 300 mark now in the season against the Red Sox, and he's had 4 RBIs against Boston in the 8 games they've played. Nick, a comebacker. This will be played by Peavy. Over to Napoli for the out. For every Orioles walk, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50 supporting Be More for Healthy Babies. 154 walks, $7,700. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Bottom of the 7th, and the Orioles putting up some numbers with the home runs. And a ball fouled away. Manny Machado has had an 0-for-3 in the ball game. The Orioles rather, came into the ball game ranked 4th in home runs. The Red Sox 13th in homers. 0-1 breaking balls in there for a strike. Red Sox pitchers 8th out of the 16 teams in home runs surrendered starting the night. Here's the 0-2 delivery. Manny Machado will take it way outside from Peavy. Gotta believe this will be Jake Peavy's final inning. He had not given up more than 1 home run in a ball game this year. The Orioles have been able to get 3 off him tonight.
Well, it's a dangerous offense. I mean, 1 through 9 can hurt you.
A breaking ball inside. Orioles now with the 3 home runs in this game. They've got 15 home runs in 8 games so far in June. That'll make Mr. Presley, the Oriole hitting coach, happy. That's the most in the majors so far in June. Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss as he throttled back on it. So Peavy will get his 7th strikeout, 2 in the inning, but the Orioles had a run as Flaherty gets his 2nd home run. He's got a 2-for-3 ball game, and the Orioles 2 of the set. Chris Tillman takes the mound against Brandon Workman. Our coverage on Masson at 6:30 with those extra presented by Geico, followed by game coverage at 7. All the access you need right here on Masson.
Let's take a look at tomorrow's starters. Brandon Workman, he's worked out of the pen. He's made 3 starts at .374 earned run average for the Red Sox. And Chris Tillman looking for a big bounce back start. Got knocked out early in his last start in Texas. Does have the 5 wins. He wants to lower that earned run average.
Bud Norris trying to put this ball game away himself as we go to the 8th inning. Norris now in his longest outing of the season. Herrera, Ross, and Holt 8, 9, and 1. Herrera has struck out and drawn a walk. And he will take the pitch. And it is in there for a strike.
First pitch changeup for a strike.
Norris coming in with an ERA of 4.41. 0-1 hit high in the air. Right field, Markakis. 1 away. Had some rainmakers put up in the air tonight off a couple of ground ball pitchers. 1 down. Here's Ross, who has flied out to center field twice.
Well, that was a nice sequence of just a couple pitches. First pitch changeup to Herrera, and then he locates a 92, 93 mile an hour fastball to get the easy pop up. So Bud's still showing some good command here as he's pitching in the 8th.
Here's David Ross. He'll take it for a strike. Longest career outing. There's O'Day in the bullpen. Longest career outing for Bud Norris is 8 innings.
Wow.
Which he's done 3 times. The last time was last May against the Angels. That one's going to go down the line. That will be an extra base hit. Over to get it, Cruz. Ross on his way to second. He'll go in with the stand-up double. And that'll be the 2nd extra base hit of the ball game and the 3rd overall off Bud Norris.
And just challenged him with a fastball here. Caleb setting up away, but it leaks back over. Ross takes advantage of it, hammers it down that left field line.
And in a ball game, that Flaherty home run in the 7th looms ever larger with that base hit that was just picked up. You got to go one more in the lineup to get that potential tying run to the plate. Each team 0 for 3 in that department. Runners in scoring position tonight. Holt, a base hit, a walk, and he is grounded out. Red hot hitter will go to first. Davis will play it himself. The runner will move up, 2 down.
Oh, I like that first pitch changeup. It's Holt out in front.
We'll see what happens here, but it'll be perhaps a tough decision for Buck Showalter. Norris has thrown 96 pitches. Darren O'Day is ready in the bullpen. 95 pitches thrown. Whether or not you let him come back out if he can get Bogarts on a relatively quick at bat.
Yeah, it will be interesting. You know, Bud can get it up there. The most he's thrown this year is 113 pitches, but he looks like he's feeling pretty good.
So Brian Mattis getting up. That'll be for Ortiz just in case. Bogarts 2 down. Runner at third base now. 0 for 3 in the ball game. A couple of fly balls to right. And he is grounded out. Norris will catch the outside corner.
Nice fastball. There you go. 11 starts this season. He's averaging 103.3. The season high 113. Tonight only at 97.
Bogarts tied for 9th in doubles in the American League. Here's the 0-2 delivery to him, and a swing and a miss. And the fans will be up for Bud Norris, just in case he does not come back. But right now, he is really weaving a gem, a 3-hitter shutting out lumber. Well, Adam Jones brought the lumber in this one. First inning, his 10th home run came up in the 4th. Bloop single came up inning later. Base hit. 3 for 3 ball game for Adam Jones.
Let's take a look at Jake Peavy's line here. Out of the ball game, 7 innings, pitched pretty well, just to 8 hits, but 4 earned runs, 3 homers. Adam Jones, Nick Markakis, and Ryan Flaherty got to him. 7 punch outs, just the 94 pitches. Gave his team a chance, but Bud Norris out dueling him.
And our pitching change is good, especially when it's getting your oil changed at Jiffy Lube. Give your vehicle relief with regular oil changes at Jiffy Lube and help stretch the life of your engine.
Burke Badenhop now in the ball game. 28 games this season at 1.82 earned run average. 16 punch outs in his 34 2/3 innings of work. He's got a two-seamer, a slider, and a change. Likes to induce that ground ball, up over 50% on the ground. And that two-seamer throws 86 to 91. Not real overpowering, but able to keep it down.
So it'll be Adam Jones facing off against him, going for a 4 for 4 ball game. 2 singles, the home run, Davis, and then Cruz to follow. Badenhop has gone 12 scoreless innings in a row, and he hasn't given up an earned run in his last 26 1/3. Hasn't given up an earned run since April 18th.
We talked about this Red Sox bullpen. The earned run average pretty good.
That's been their strength. Trouble is they haven't been able to get to it in games where they've had the lead. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Jones. And Adams swings through the heater, 92 miles an hour. 4-8-0 for the Orioles, 0-3-0 for the Red Sox. Orioles trying to even up the series this year against Boston. If they can win this, they will be 4-4 against Boston. They won the series last year, 11 games to 8. And that will miss outside for ball.
Trying to bring that two-seamer back over the outside corner, but he's been up in the zone here. To Adam Jones, living dangerously right now. Adam Jones red hot.
2 ball, 2 strike count on him. Adam leading off the inning, and the delivery will be fouled back. Adam has had 2 4-hit games this season. Got a chance at another one if he can pick up the hit here. Against the Red Sox now, he's almost 500 this year against Boston. 4 RBIs in the 8 games played. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outfield shaded to right. How about that? That tells you what the latest scouting reports are showing that we talked about, with Adam hitting the last 4, I think 4 home runs now to the right side of second base.
Yeah, so outfield making the adjustment there. I'm surprised they're not pinching the middle a little bit, even though he did pick up that hit through the 5-6 hole. He's been getting his base hits up the middle. No good ability to pull his hands inside.
Fouls that one back, holding that count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Badenhop coming on in relief of Peavy. He'll be throwing his 8th pitch to Adam Jones. Orioles trying to get to the 500 mark here at home, as the O's have been a game or 2 shy of that of late. 12-14 right now, and it's been run production at home that hasn't been there. Tonight, though, they've reached that magic number of 4. That's not only the Orioles' magic number, it's the magic number in Major League Baseball. 4 or more runs, and you're going to win most of the games. And a strike called. So Badenhop comes back to get him on a real tough pitch. You're going to love this one, sports fans. Take a look at our Lexus of Towson drive of the game.
There it is. Chris Davis, it's the bunt. Oh, yeah, they're playing the shift. He gets it down all year long. Been talking about Chris Davis. That whole left side opened up. He takes advantage of it here and showing his speed as well to pick up the base hit.
Our drive of the game brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 Lexus dealer. Come see why at lexusoftowson.com. Davis not bunting here, will foul it off. It was his first bunt hit ever, and he got it on a replay. He was called out. The original call was out. They went back on a challenge by the Orioles, Buck Showalter, and about 27 seconds is all it took to change it to safe. Here's the 0-1 delivery and a swing and a miss on a changeup. 0-2.
Well, that'll be something to tell his new daughter about one day.
Tommy Hunter now up in the bullpen. This is not a save situation. And whether Bud Norris is coming back or not, bounced, I don't know. He's kind of sitting there in the I don't know mode.
Yeah, right.
Filing his nails.
Yeah, you'd think if he was out, he'd be up on the top step.
Yeah. Badenhop behind the mound. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Davis. Nelson Cruz, the on deck batter for the Orioles. Badenhop's delivery, and that'll be outside. The loss to the A's yesterday and the loss in the series, the Orioles now have won 7 series, lost 8, and tied 5. Try and get back on the other side of that with these games here at home against Boston and the 4-game series over the weekend against Toronto. Toronto still leading Minnesota tonight in that ball game in the 8th inning, 4-2. Ryan Flaherty, one of the 3 home run hitters for the Orioles. That one fouled off at the plate. Markakis and Jones the others.
Badenhop coming with a change there, but he left it up in the zone. And Chris Davis a pretty good look at it. Able to get a piece. And Adam Jones, one of the hottest hitters in the game this month, putting up incredible numbers, both power numbers and average.
Badenhop with a 3-2 pitch. That's into the shift again. Right to Pedroia. He will make the play, and Davis is retired. And there are 2 down. Here's Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, talking to Bud Norris. That is surprising. Bud has never worked 9 innings in his career in a ball game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I think Bud, when spent his time with Houston, he's a strikeout type pitcher, and a lot of times when you see strikeout pitchers, their pitch counts get up a little bit.
2 down, nobody on. Davis, or rather Cruz. And the play made by Herrera. It's a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 9th. The Orioles will try and put away this one. It is a 4-0 O's lead, and it's not going to be Norris. It'll be Hunter. by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by Chapin Davis, providing investments that can produce income from your retirement plan. Call to learn more, 800-222-3246 or at chapindavis.com. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick on this beautiful night. Beside the warehouse where Bud Norris has really spun a beauty. He'll come out for the night.
Quite a ball game for Bud Norris. 8 strong innings, just 3 hits. He did have the 3 walks, 6 punch outs, 98 pitches. He was in command this whole ball game. And take a look here at his punch outs. I mean, great fastball, off-speed pitches working here, riding it in to get Pedroia. Beautiful change to get Napoli. Elevated slider to get Herrera. Napoli down again. And look at that one at 95 to get Ortiz, and then the slider down and away. Finish off Bogarts. Pretty impressive stuff. Now Tommy Hunter into the ball game, just reinstated yesterday from the DL. See his earned run average at 606. He wants to bring that down a little bit. 15 punch outs and 15 in the third.
Dustin Pedroia leading it off against him. He's had an 0 for 3 in the ball game. So the Orioles working on a combined shutout. Orioles have 3 shutouts to their credit. The Red Sox have been shut out 4 times so far this year. And Pedroia striking the outside corner. Pedroia 7 for 24 lifetime off Hunter. Orioles up 4-0. Kevin Gausman on the right, Bud Norris on the left. 2 really good starts by those 2.
Yes, they were.
And Gausman, of course, in the rotation. Pitch up high. Miguel Gonzalez not scheduled to be back to June 15, 16, or 17, according to Buck Showalter.
And did a little throw in today. And took it easy, just trying to get the body going a little bit.
Got all the starters right there all together in the dugout. Yeah. Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way in the dirt. And stop made by Joseph. Baldo in the middle there. Wei and Chen over on the far left. Looking at him. Miguel Gonzalez. Catcher Hundley on the right. And then back there Norris and Gausman and Tillman. Tommy Hunter, 3-ball, 2-strike count. Pedroia will put it in the air. Center field low. 1 down, 9th inning.
Ball carried a little bit out there, but Tommy Hunter coming with the cheese. 97-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone to get Pedroia there.
Hunter has a 5-2 record lifetime against the Red Sox. 2 for 3 in save situations. This is not a save situation. Here's David Ortiz. Ortiz, 1 swing to left field is going to do it for his at bat. He's out of there. Ortiz has had an 0 for 4 in the ball game. Ortiz had 3 home runs off Hunter. Does have 3. And the Red Sox could be put out 1-2-3. 19,720, 19,720. The ticket sold for this one. Tommy Hunter has not had a 1-2-3 inning.
Well, the fans would like to see it.
So would he. He goes after Napoli, who has struck out twice and flied out. Shift on in the infield. Napoli will take the pitch away for a ball. 3 hits off Norris in the ball game. Holt in the first inning, a double. Nava in the 5th, double. Ross in the 8th. And at one point, Bud Norris retired 13 in a row from the first innings through the double in the 5th. One ball, 1 strike. In the air. Low and center. And that's that. Tommy Hunter has a 1-2-3 inning. The Orioles combined on a shutout. Norris and Hunter getting it done, giving up only 3 hits in the game. And for the Orioles, a tremendous pitching performance by Bud Norris, and all the runs coming in the long ball. Jones, Markakis, and Flaherty with the home runs. There's your final line for the Orioles. They are 8-0, 0-3-0 for the Red Sox. The O's even up the series against Boston 4 games apiece.